friends! So today we are going to do a mini lesson on reading comprehension. And this week we've been working really hard on making connections to what we've read and stopping and jotting information that we've learned. And these strategies helped us understand the text that we are reading and form a stronger connection with the author's message. So today we're going to use these strategies and read a new passage and answer some comprehension questions to show that we understand what we read. So the passage that we're going to read is called The Best Garden Helper. It says, "Many years ago, I moved from the city to the country. One of the first things I did was to make a large vegetable garden. It was hard work to change the grassy area to a fine garden. Imagine how much work it must have been for the early pioneer families to break the native sod by hand. I planted a full garden that first year, everything from root vegetables like carrots and beets to green beans, corn, tomatoes, zucchini, acorn squash, and melons. A root vegetable means that we eat the root of the plant that grows in the soil instead of the part that grows above the ground. My best friends, Fritz and Heidi, both German Shepherd dogs, loved to play out in the country. They enjoyed discovering all the new sniffs of rabbit trails and deer. A garden was something new to the dogs. At gardening time, Heidi preferred to go exploring, but Fritz would stay close to me and help. Once in a while, I would find a cucumber at the side of the garden with dog teeth marks in it. Who do you think tasted the cucumbers? Since Heidi didn't stay near the garden, it must have been Fritz. One day, Fritz went into the garden. He sniffed among the leaves of the melon vines growing close to the ground. Why, he had discovered ripe melons by their smell. Knowing when melons are just right to pick is very hard for humans, but Fritz knew the exact right time to pick each melon in the garden. From then on, Fritz was my best garden helper, even if he did sometimes eat the cucumbers. So now that we've read the story, we're going to go to the next slide and answer some questions. So question 1 says, which of the following vegetables are root crops? Now, I'm not just going to circle an answer and say, I think I remember it being tomatoes. I remember it saying tomatoes. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make sure I go back in the text to find the correct answer and make sure I am right. So I'm going to find the section that talked about root crops. I'm going to go back, and I know it was somewhere in this first part. So I'm going to look here. Okay, I'm going to skim and scan. I planted a full garden that first year, everything from root vegetables like carrots and beets. So because it says the word like carrots and beets, I know that carrots and beets must be root vegetables. So let's go look at my answer choices. Tomatoes, green beans, beets, corn. Well, I know my answer must be beets because we just highlighted that part in the text that said everything from root vegetables like carrots and beets. Carrots and beets are an example of a root vegetable. So I circled C, beets. Number 2, pioneer families had a hard time gardening because they didn't know how to plant a garden, they had to break up native sod, there wasn't enough rain, their dogs didn't know how to help. You know, I really don't feel like going back in the text and reading this part, so I think I'm just going to circle C because it seems like there wasn't enough rain sounds like a good reason. You think I should do that? No, I don't think I should do that. I think I should take my time and go back and read the text. So I'm going to go back to the part about pioneer families. So I am skimming and scanning right now. And, here is the part where he talks about how hard it must have been to change the grassy area to a fine garden. And then it says, imagine how much work it must have been for the early pioneer families to break the native sod by hand. So it was very hard for them because they had to break up that dirt by hand instead of using gardening tools like we can now. So now I know that my answer is they had to break up native sod. Okay, number 3. What kind of dogs are Fritz and Heidi? I'm going to go back to the text. And I remember talking about the dogs, so I'm just going to kind of skim over the text. Oh, here we go. My best friends Fritz and Heidi, both German Shepherd dogs, love to play out in the country. So now I know that both dogs are German Shepherds. So I'm going to circle German Shepherds. And there's a little bit of a trick in here because the answer choices are German Shepherds, Labrador Retrievers, German Short-Haired Pointers, and Australian Shepherds. So if you're not reading carefully, you could think that C said German Shepherds, even though it says German Short-Haired Pointers, because you weren't paying attention. So make sure you read the answer choices carefully and pick the correct one. D also has the word shepherds in it, so make sure that you are reading the answer choices carefully and picking the correct one. Okay, number 4. Did Heidi help with the gardening? I remember when I was reading the text, it said something about one of the dogs staying close and one of them going far away from the garden, but I don't remember which one it is. So I'm going to kind of keep skimming and scanning. They enjoyed discovering all new sniffs of rabbit. Garden was something new for the dog. Oh, here we are. At gardening time, Heidi preferred to go exploring, but Fritz would stay close to me and help. So Heidi would go exploring, but Fritz would stay close. Did Heidi help with the gardening? Yes, she stayed close by and helped. Nope, it tells me that Fritz stayed close by and helped. Yes, she stayed close by and napped. I know she didn't stay close by, and nowhere in the text does it say that either of the dogs napped. No, she stayed at home instead. Let me go back and look. Heidi preferred to go exploring. So I know she didn't stay home. No, she went exploring instead. Yes, the text tells me right here that Heidi preferred to go exploring. Okay, and the last question. Where do melons grow? On trees, below the ground as root vegetables, on stalks, on vines. I'm going to keep skimming and scanning here and find where it talks about melons. This is cucumbers. Oh, okay. So Fritz went into the garden. He sniffed among the leaves of the melon vines growing close to the ground. Why, he had discovered ripe melons by their smell. Knowing when melons are just right to pick is very hard for humans, but Fritz knew the exact right time to pick each melon in the garden. So, here it tells me that he sniffed among the leaves of the melon vines growing close to the ground. So, do melons grow on trees if they grow close to the ground? Probably not. How about below the ground as root vegetables? Let's go back. Was that one of the root vegetables? Carrots and beets are root vegetables. How about on stalks? On stalks. Does it say melon stalks? No, it says melon vines. So I know that because it tells me that Fritz found melon vines, that melons must grow close to the ground on their vines. Okay, so now we have answered all 5 questions, and before I turn my work in, I'm going to make sure that I have circled or highlighted all 5 answers. That way my teacher knows that I've done all my work, and once I've checked, I can click the green check. So today on Seesaw, you're not going to worry about slides 2, 3, and 4. You're only worried about the first slide. You are going to read the passage Grandpa's Boat and answer the 4 questions. You may put a check in the little circle, or you can highlight the answer, and it would be extremely helpful for you to use the highlighter tool and go back in the text and highlight where you found each answer, just like I did in my example. So again, you're only doing the first slide for Grandpa's boat and answering the 4 questions. And this is a quiz. We are taking this for a grade, so we need you to make sure that you are doing your best work, you are doing it independently, that means by yourself, and you turn this in today, which is October 2nd. All right, friends, have a great day.